Luigi's got us all talking about Americans' healthcare, so let's do this. Let's have this conversation. My name is Chris Goldsmith. I am an Iraq veteran. I spent about 4 years in the United States Army. And because of that, I have better access to healthcare than you do. Statistically speaking, if you're watching this video, I probably have better access to healthcare than you do because I went to war. But I don't think that any American should have to go to war to get the quality of healthcare that I do. You know why? It's not because it's about what I deserve or any individual American deserves. It's about us as a society, as a community, right? It's the reason why the people are so upset about these insurance companies, because the sickness, the illness, the preventable deaths, it's not about the individual. It's about the family. It's about the community. It's about the economy. It's about all of these things that we all depend on. Let me give you a micro example, right? Because I went to war, I was able to today go to the VA, go to my nearest hospital, go into a walk-in clinic. I got my flu vaccine and I got my COVID booster, right? No wait, no appointment, no bill, no insurance. I walk in, I get my vaccines, I walk out and go home and continue my day. Every single American should have access to vaccines, because it is not for the benefit of the individual, it is for the benefit of all. If we can stop the flu from going through our country every single winter, right? When the weather gets cold, that's when the flu season picks up. We'll have grandparents who don't die needless deaths every year. That benefits all of us, right? If COVID vaccines were readily accessible and free to every single American, I think a lot more people would get these vaccines, right? If people didn't have to pay out of pocket a few $100 for a vaccine to prevent illness and potential death, I think more people would take these vaccines. So, let's not just talk about the problems. Let's talk about solutions. I know that we've got this potential anti-vax RFK Jr. guy going to be in charge of HHS, which is crazy. The Trump administration is going to be absurd. But I think we've got a bit of a movement here. We don't have to start on vaccines. We could just start talking about how every American deserves access to healthcare. And when it comes to vaccines, I think there's a great argument to be made for this is not about the individual and what an individual deserves. It's not like talking about illnesses that are related to someone's habits or way of life or pre-existing conditions. Vaccines are about protecting the community from preventable illness, death, and disability. So let's start there. Let's call on our members of Congress to start making every American get a little closer to the level of healthcare that every veteran gets. You should not have to go to war so the CEOs can profit in the defense industry, the medical industry, the insurance industry, because our economy doesn't exist without soldiers willing to fight, right? The American economy does not exist without the might of our military. That's why they get all the money, because the economy depends on the way that we project strength. That's a hard truth, but that's the world we live in. You should not have to be willing to die for your country so that you don't have to die a preventable death from something like COVID, or if you're elderly or vulnerable medically, something like the flu. I mean, Luigi's got us talking about healthcare, so let's have this conversation. Let's start moving the goalposts. It's not enough that everyone has access to health insurance through the ACA. Everyone deserves access to health care. Access to health insurance is not good enough. Move the goalposts. We get everybody access to health care. And we start with stuff like prevention of illness, disease, and disability. And that's vaccines. So listen, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you. Please, you can write a letter to Congress. You can email your member of Congress. You can show up at their town halls when they're in your home district. Hell, if you've got the money and the time, you can go to DC and try to meet with your member of Congress themselves while they're working on the Capitol. It's not just a shit post on the internet. Let's do something about this.